Imagine having God-level talent and waking up one day completely unable to use it. That happened to Sergei Rachmaninoff for 3 straight years, 1,095 mornings of nothing, until one doctor walked in and whispered a hypnotic phrase that forced him to write the greatest piano concerto ever created. This is that concerto. And it almost never existed, but first you need to understand who Rachmaninoff was before everything fell apart. April 1st, 1873, born into Russian aristocracy at the Oneg estate. But this wasn't just any aristocratic family. Music was literally in his blood. His grandfather studied under John Field, the Irish composer who invented the nocturne. His cousin, Alexander Siloti, was one of the greatest pianists in Europe, trained directly by Franz Liszt himself. Young Sergei grows up watching Siloti perform, watching those hands that learned from Liszt's hands. The pressure is suffocating. Live up to the family legacy or die trying. Age 9, everything collapses. His father gambles away the entire family fortune. His parents separate. Young Sergei is ripped from his childhood home and shipped off to Moscow Conservatory at age 12. His new teacher, Nikolai Zverev, is a tyrant. Rachmaninoff lives in Zverev's home with other students. Wake at 6 a.m., practice until your fingers bleed. No mistakes, no excuses. Just flawless technique drilled into muscle memory through sheer brutality. But here's the twist. At the conservatory, he meets another prodigy his exact age, Alexander Scriabin. Their childhood friends, rivals, mirror images of each other, both brilliant, both destined for greatness. But Scriabin is chasing the future, modernist harmonies, mystical philosophy, breaking every rule. Rachmaninoff? He falls in love with the romantic tradition, melody, emotion, the music of the heart. Age 19, he graduates with the Great Gold Medal in 1892, the highest honor the conservatory can give, only awarded for exceptional talent. He immediately composes his graduation opera, Aleko, May 9, 1893. It premieres at the Bolshoi Theatre. Tchaikovsky himself attends and gives his blessing to the young composer. Then Tchaikovsky dies, November 6, 1893. All of Russia is in mourning, and everyone asks the same question: who will be our next great composer? But here's what you need to understand about Russian music in the 1890s. It was a war zone. On one side, the Mighty Five. Nationalist composers like Mussorgsky, Borodin, Rimsky-Korsakov, and the critic César Cui. They believed Russian music should be purely Russian. Folk melodies, orthodox church modes, nothing Western, nothing European. They hated the conservatory. They hated Western training. They hated anyone who studied German harmony. On the other side, Tchaikovsky and his students, conservatory trained, Western influenced. They believed great music transcends borders. Rachmaninoff was Tchaikovsky's spiritual heir, which made him a traitor to the nationalists. César Cui wasn't just a music critic. He was the ideological enforcer of Russian musical purity. And Rachmaninoff, with his Western training and romantic heart, represented everything Cui wanted to destroy. So when Rachmaninoff's prelude in C-sharp minor becomes an instant sensation in 1892, when everyone in Russia knows it, when he's 23 years old and already being called the heir to Tchaikovsky, the target on his back is massive. His First Symphony is supposed to cement his place in history. Instead, it becomes his public execution. March 28, 1897, St. Petersburg. The hall is packed with royalty and the most brutal critics in Russia. The conductor, Alexander Glazunov, stumbles on stage completely drunk. He slaughters every tempo. Half the orchestra loses their place. The audience sits in horrified silence. Then the reviews hit. César Cui writes, "If there were a conservatory in hell, Rachmaninoff would take first prize." This wasn't just a bad review, this was ideological warfare. The nationalists just destroyed Tchaikovsky's chosen heir. Rachmaninoff stopped composing, stopped eating, stopped living. For 3 full years he sat at the piano and couldn't write a single note. Clinical depression, total creative death. His family thought the genius who was supposed to dominate the century would die broken at 23. His cousins literally drag him to a hypnotherapist named Dr. Nikolai Dahl. Dahl isn't just a hypnotherapist, He's a neurologist and amateur cellist who understands the pain of creative paralysis from both sides. From January to April 1900, every single day, Rachmaninoff sits in a dark office. Dahl puts him under hypnosis and repeats the same hypnotic suggestion like a broken record. You will begin to write your concerto. You will work with great facility. The concerto will be of an excellent quality. Day after day, week after week, at first nothing, same blank pages, same paralysis. But Dahl refuses to stop. Then June 1900 hits. Rachmaninoff sits at the piano and music explodes out of him for the first time in 3 years. He writes like a man possessed. He finishes movements 2 and 3 by autumn 1900. Then he stalls. The first movement, the opening statement, the make or break moment, won't come. Dahl's voice keeps echoing. You will begin to write your concerto. You will work with great facility. The concerto will be of an excellent quality. April 1901, the first movement finally breaks through. Piano Concerto No. 2 in C minor is complete. On the title page, he writes, "Dedicated to Dr. N. Dahl." Now let me show you what makes this concerto pure genius. Those opening chords? There are 8 of them. 8 bell-like chords on the piano, building from a whisper to a roar in a C minor haze. They're not just dramatic, they're a heart restarting after flatlining for 3 years. Each chord is a defibrillator shock. Then the piano enters with that descending cascade, and you realize this is a man clawing his way back from the dead. The second movement is where the magic happens. It starts in E major, a complete tonal shift from the dark C minor. The clarinet introduces the main theme, delicate and hopeful. Then the piano responds. It's a conversation. The orchestra asks, "Can you still create?" The piano answers, "Watch me." That famous melody has been in dozens of iconic films. Brief Encounter, 7-Year Itch, Groundhog Day, because it's pure hypnosis made audible. Even people who hate classical music know it by heart. The finale is straight revenge. It opens with the violas and oboe singing that triumphant melody, the theme that says, "I'm back and I'm unstoppable." Then Rachmaninoff unleashes cascading runs, thundering octaves, technical fireworks that prove his hands still work, his mind still burns. This is him screaming to César Cui, to the Mighty Five, to everyone who declared him dead. You were wrong. November 9th, 1901, Moscow. He premieres it himself. The audience goes insane. Standing ovation that won't end. Critics call it an instant masterpiece. The man they declared dead at 23 just proved he's immortal. But here's the real legacy. This concerto didn't just save Rachmaninoff. It unlocked everything that came after. Piano Concerto No. 3 in 1909, the most technically demanding concerto ever written. Rhapsody on a theme of Paganini in 1934. 24 variations of pure brilliance. Symphonic Dances in 1940, his final masterpiece, written in exile in America, looking back at the Russia he'd never see again. None of those exist without Piano Concerto No. 2. None of them exist without Dr. Dahl's hypnotic suggestion. None of them exist without Rachmaninoff choosing to believe one more day that he could create again. 124 years later, it is still the most performed, most recorded, most loved piano concerto on planet Earth. Here's what keeps me up at night. What if he never met Dahl? What if he quit therapy 1 month early? What if those words stopped echoing? We would have 0 Rachmaninoff masterpieces after age 23. Your playlist would be missing its greatest melody. The world would be poorer. Sometimes genius doesn't need more talent. It needs someone ruthless enough to say every single day, you will create again, even when you don't believe it yourself. So if you're watching this and you feel creatively dead, if it's been weeks, months, or years since you made something that made you proud, steal Dahl's method right now. Say these words out loud. I will begin to create. I will work with great facility. It will be of excellent quality. Put it on loop, because the block is real, but it is not final. Rachmaninoff is living proof. Drop your favorite movement in the comments, 1, 2, or 3. Hit subscribe if you want more stories like this every week, and go listen to the full concerto right now. Link in description. Those opening chords will change your life. Never let the music die.